What's going on, gamers? It's your boy Diggs Gaming. Welcome back to Off Hunting's Gaming News. And today I have a lot of stuff to talk about. And I'm going to just start off with the Nintendo Direct. Now, this comes a few weeks after Microsoft did its event. Now we have our first Nintendo Direct of the year. And it went okay. Wasn't their best Nintendo Direct, but there was a lot of good stuff in it, starting with Pikmin 4. Now, people have been waiting for this game for years, and it is officially coming July 21st, so a little over 5 months left before we get our hands on it. But in the meantime, we got a look at what you're going to be doing in the game, which, if you played a Pikmin game, it's pretty much the same thing. But we also see some new stuff, starting with Ice Pikmin. That looks very fun. And there's a space dog named Ocha. Yeah, Pikmin 4 just looks like any other Pikmin game, which for Pikmin fans, looks like they're going to have a lot of fun with this. We also got a look at the expansion coming to Splatoon 3. The first wave is going to reintroduce Inkopolis from the first game, and the new story is going to be called Side Order, and it's going to take place in an area that is devoid of any color, which for a Splatoon game, that's a big deal. That's that sounds like a great expansion for Splatoon 3. And we also got a hint of what we're going to see with waves 2 and 3, which that's always good to hear as well, what's coming in the future. So yeah, we got that from Splatoon 3. Also found out that Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp is coming in April. And we also found out that Nintendo Switch Online is going to be getting Game Boy and GBA games. Now, the Game Boy games are coming with the base version of the game. However, you have to get the expansion pass in order to get the GBA games. And for the Game Boy games, it's going to include great games like Tetris, Super Mario Land 2, Zelda Link's Awakening, Gargoyle's Quest, Kirby's Dream Land, and we also got teased for Zelda Oracle of Ages and Season, the Pokemon trading card game, and Kirby Tilt and Tumble. Meanwhile, on the GBA side, we saw games like Super Mario Bros. 3, Wario War Inc., Mega Micro Game, Mario Kart Super Circuit, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, and we saw in the future we're going to be getting games like Metroid Fusion, Kirby, and the Amazing Mirror, Fire Emblem, F-Zero Maximum Velocity, and Golden Sun. Now, that's not all of the games that we're going to see from this. These are just games that I am mentioning. And this is really cool to see because Nintendo, I mean, they are the kings of handheld games. Let's be honest, for a long time, nobody could challenge them when it came to portable gaming. For a long time, they just dominated it, just kept giving players hit after hit after hit. I mean, for the portable scene, they did a great job. And I mean, there's a reason why the Nintendo Switch has worked so well, because Nintendo just knew how to get the right balance between a portable system and a regular old console. Did a great job with that. And again, they were just amazing when it came to portable gaming. And we also found out that Metroid Prime Remastered, it finally got confirmed. This had been rumored for a long time, and it is out right now. And there's also going to be a physical version coming on the 22nd of this month, February. Wow. Now, I never played Metroid Prime, and I kind of always wanted to check out the game, and now I finally get my chance to. But yeah, this had been rumored for a long time, and now we only have 2 questions left. When are we going to see more Metroid Prime 4? And also, are they going to bring 2 and 3 to Nintendo Switch? Just gonna have to wait to find out. And the last thing they showed off was The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And oh my god, it just looks fantastic. Now, Nintendo does not normally do this. They don't normally do direct sequels with the Legend of Zelda games. But this is different because, one, Breath of the Wild was an amazing game. People could not get enough of that. And 2, why not? There's still a lot that you can do with the world in Breath of the Wild and now Tears of the Kingdom. And oh yeah, looks great. Just looks, oh my god, it looks just as good as the first one. That game is coming May 12th But we also found out the game is going to cost $70. So it's the first Nintendo first-party game that's going to be $70. Well, the first Nintendo Switch first-party game that's going to be $70. Now, Nintendo did release a statement saying that game prices are going to be on a case-by-case basis. So this is not going to be the standard for Nintendo games going forward, but we could see more $70 games. But with a game like Tears of the Kingdom, with how big Breath of the Wild is and with how big Tears of the Kingdom could be, it's probably going to be worth the $70 for anyone that enjoys it. Now, that was not everything that was announced. That was the really big stuff. We also saw the next wave of DLC for Xenoblade Chronicles 3. That'll be out February 15th, and it will feature party member Moshe. We also saw a release date for Dead Cells Return to Castlevania, March 6th. Also saw some gameplay for Bayonetta Origins. Also got a release date for Disney Illusion Island, July 28th, and got some gameplay overview. Got the next few waves of DLC for Fire Emblem Engage. So we saw what's coming in Wave 2, and we also got a hint at Wave 3 and 4. Love seeing that. Octopath Traveler 2 has a new demo. Kirby Dream Land Deluxe will feature a new epilogue, and that game is also getting a demo. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe found out what's coming in Wave 4 of the Booster Course Pass. So much more. I mean, I do not have enough time to talk about everything that was announced here. And like I said, it wasn't Nintendo's best Nintendo Direct, but as you just heard, there was still a lot to like about this. So it wasn't perfect, but it didn't have to be. Moving on, the UK regulators, the CMA, has announced its findings from the investigation into the purchase of Activision by Microsoft. And they found that this deal could harm players in the UK. In a statement, they said it could result in higher prices, fewer choices, or less innovation for UK gamers. Now, the CMA has had a lot of controversy throughout the years, I will admit that. But it's important to point out that for them, they just look what's best for UK gamers, whereas other regulators look at the whole picture. They just look at the UK side of things. So I just wanted to make that clear. Now, some suggestions for the CMA that would consider them to approve the deal could include selling off part of the vision that includes Call of Duty, selling off part of Activision segment of Activision Blizzard, or selling off both the Activision and the Blizzard segments and just leaving the mobile division. And they've also said another possible solution would just be them not buying Activision Blizzard altogether. Yeah, you know, Microsoft's not going to do that. They want all of Activision. They want this deal to go through fully, so that's not going to happen. However, the CMA is open to any kind of solution. Now, Microsoft has said throughout this entire process that it's all about having more places to play games, not taking games away from gamers. And they have talked about the 10-year deal that they have given to both Sony and Nintendo to put Call of Duty on there for years to come. We all know what's going on with this. We know it's going to take a while before everything gets settled. A lot longer than I think anybody would have thought. And this is just another thing that Microsoft has to get by in order to get this deal to go through. Now, to go along with this, Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick has also stated that Sony stopped talking to both Microsoft and Activision. He said in a statement, suddenly Sony's entire leadership team stopped talking to anyone at Microsoft. He said that he thought it was Sony's way of trying to sabotage the transaction. He also stated that the whole idea that we are not going to support a PlayStation, that Microsoft would not support the PlayStation, it is absurd. Now, Sony said in a response that they are talking to Microsoft, but they can't talk about their private negotiations, which, well, that makes a whole lot of sense. They're private for a reason. Now, for Kotick, this could be a bad look for him because why would you be saying anything like this? It just doesn't make sense for him to be saying this because as we just saw, it looks like it's not entirely true. Looks like Sony is talking to Microsoft. They just can't talk about what they are talking about. And he also stated that this is around the time when Sony would be talking to Activision about stuff like exclusive content or marketing and other stuff like that. But it wouldn't make too much sense for Sony to be talking about that when we have the supposed buyout coming up with, you know, Microsoft buying Activision. It just doesn't make any sense because Microsoft, as we know, has Xbox. So we would assume that if any exclusive content was coming to Call of Duty or any other Activision game, it would go to Microsoft, not Sony, and they would have the marketing for all that. So it's kind of weird. And with the whole thing with the Microsoft Activision deal, I know Sony's getting painted in a bad light about with this, but they're just doing what any other business would do with a transition like this. Because remember, we're talking an almost $70 billion purchase of a company that has the highest selling video game franchise out there right now with Call of Duty. It's such a big deal. Now, the CMA also, with their findings, they posted, like, I think it was a 277-page document of their findings or something like that, around that. It was a big document, so I can't talk about all of that right now. I just want to talk about that stuff that they had mentioned in there because I think that was the most noteworthy thing to talk about. If you want to take a look at the document, go right ahead. There's a lot of good stuff in there. And I am going to move on. Now, during its latest financial call, Activision did say that they are still going to be releasing a fully annual premium release of Call of Duty in 2023. Now, Jason Schreier of Bloomberg reported last year that Call of Duty will be skipping its 2023 release by Treyarch. However, Activision has said that they will be releasing a new premium launch title. Now, Schreier responded to this and said that it will be developed by Sledgehammer Games and it's going to be year 2 of Modern Warfare 2. However, something to point out was they said premium full game, or it was full annual premium release. That's what's confusing some players, because if it is year 2 of Modern Warfare 2, would that really be considered a premium release? I don't know. And we're not going to know what exactly this full annual premium release is until Activision announces it. And that could still be a few months away, or most likely it is still a few months away. So we're just going to have to wait and see. But moving on, Nintendo has released its latest financial report. And during this time, net sales during this period were 1,295.1 billion yen. Their operating profit was 410.5 billion yen. So the Switch hardware sale total right now is 122.55 million units. During the time, the Switch software total was 994.30 million units. Now, with the hardware sale of 122.55 million units, the Nintendo Switch is now in third place on the all-time game console sold, behind the Nintendo DS with 154.02 million units and the PlayStation 2 with 155 million units sold. And also during this time, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sold 20.61 million units, while Splatoon 3 sold 10.13 million units, and the Nintendo Switch Sports sold 8.16 million units. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe sold 6.66 million units for a total of 52 million units sold, while Kirby and the Forgotten Land sold 3.47 million units, total of 6.12 million units altogether during its time. For hardware during this time period, it was 14.91 million units. Now, there was a decline of about 21.3% from the previous year. However, they explained that this was mainly due to a shortage of semiconductors and other component supplies. Total software sales also declined. It was at 172.11 million units. That declined 4%. However, the revenue related to Nintendo Switch Online did increase. So all in all, it doesn't sound too bad from what I see. I don't know how to fully read these things, I'll be honest, but wanted to get that out there for those of you that are interested in these financial reports. But Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sold well. I mean, no surprise there. Splatoon 3 sold over 10 million units. Of course, that's not bad. So yeah, that was the financial unit from Nintendo during this time period. And with the Nintendo Switch now in third place, we'll see if it can catch either the Nintendo DS or the PlayStation 2. Moving on, according to a new rumor by The Leak, The Last of Us Part 3 is in production now. Will release on PlayStation 5 with PlayStation 6 in mind. It is described as in progress, possible release date of 2026, and the budget is going to depend on the success of the show. Now, again, this is a rumor. This is not at all confirmed. However, does it really surprise anyone that they're making a Last of Us Part 3? Probably not. And if it is true that the budget depends on the success of the show, then the budget should be pretty good because the show has done just amazing. Its latest episode broke records again. Again, it just does not surprise me that The Last of Us Part 3 would be in production right now. And a 2026 possible release date, yeah, that wouldn't surprise me either because the original game came out in 2013. 2020 was when The Last of Us Part 2 came out. So it would make sense for it to come out in 2026. So while this is a rumor, it is possible that it is true. Moving on, as we know, God of War is being made into a TV show by Amazon Prime. And during an interview with The Deadline, Sony Pictures TV Studios president Catherine Pope has talked about the work that has been done so far on the show, and she is impressed by the work that's been done. And in her official statement, she said, "I am so impressed with what they are already doing in terms of building out that world and expanding, keeping all the values of the game, but also expanding on it so that if you don't know the game, it's still going to be a really satisfying show on its own." Now, keep in mind, this is going to take place during Norse mythology, not Greek mythology. Just wanted to keep that in mind for anyone that did not know. And it actually does make a whole lot of sense that for a TV show to do Norse mythology over Greek mythology, because Greek mythology, Kratos just had really a one-track mind. It was gotta get revenge on the gods or gotta do a lot of damage to a lot of people. Whereas he has more of a character in during Norse mythology. So it would make a whole lot of sense. And judging by this interview, it looks very promising, and that does sound very good. And if the Last of Us TV show has anything to go off of, then God of War, we shouldn't have any issues with it. Now, remember, the Last of Us is HBO, this is Amazon, so that could make a difference, but there's still a lot of promise with this show. Moving on, Judas, the debut title of Ghost Story Games, and the next game by Kevin Levine, who was the creator of BioShock, now has an official launch window. And the game is expected to be out by March of 2025. Now, that does sound like a long time, but getting this launch window is always a good thing because it gives us an idea of where the game is right now. And it looks like the game is still a long way from being released. Well, not looks like, it is a long way from being released, but now we have an idea of when we're going to get this game. Now, they're saying by March 2025. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be out in March of 2025. Could be out a little earlier, could be out a little later, but we got a launch window for this game. And we saw a teaser for Judas, and it definitely has elements of BioShock in it. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun for those that had a lot of fun with BioShock. Moving on, Sony released an FAQ on the PlayStation VR 2, and we found out something interesting. Now, while they did say there is going to be around 30 launch titles for the system, which we already knew about, they said how many games are in development for PlayStation VR 2? The answer was over 100 titles. Sony is really taking VR2 seriously. It's not really a shock considering how much of a success PlayStation VR was. And I'm glad to see this is what we're going to have. I mean, over 100 titles, that is great. And we also found out that Gran Turismo 7 was made with VR in mind. That's why we're getting the full game and not just a section of it. Now, they also said that they're not planning on doing physical releases at this time. It's only going to be digital. We'll see if they do physical later on. And one more thing. Horizon Call of the Mountain has gone gold, so that is coming on launch day. For anyone that was a little concerned it wasn't going to make it, it is. Really sounds like Sony is taking their VR system to the next level, and I can't wait to hear what people think about it when they finally get their hands on it. And the last thing we're going to talk about is Hogwarts Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy has officially come out, and it's amazing. Hogwarts looks great. Loving the combat. I am very early on in the game right now. I just started my classes at Hogwarts, and critics and players alike are also feeling the same way. They love it. Now, yes, the controversy behind J.K. Rowling is something that has been talked about with this game. However, she didn't have anything to do with this game. She wasn't a part of the process. And I think IGN said it best with their reviews saying we can only judge the game based on how it looks, how it plays. We can't judge it based on outside forces. And I think that's best surrounding it. And I understand for people that are not comfortable playing this game because of what J.K. Rowling has said, but don't be yelling at people that want to enjoy it, that want to play it. So that's all I'm going to say on that. And to go along with the release of Hogwarts Legacy, PlayStation has released a limited edition DualSense, which has already sold out. It's a controller that is black with a gold outline of Hogwarts and some gold patterns along the grips. And yeah, that looks amazing as well. And unfortunately, it has sold out to a shock of no one. And that is all the news that I have for you today. I am Diggs Gaming, and we'll be back with you next week. PlayStation's teasing something for a Super Bowl commercial. So whatever that is, we will be talking about that. And I will see you guys next time.